English on page number 11. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings depart in equanimity, fear, bias, attachment, and anger. This ground Ananda be perfumed, strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon. I visualize this Buddha good and offering. May all living beings enjoy the pure land. Idam Uro Rana Vendala Kameyadara.
야, 어떤 영화 좋다. 다른 로마 노인스를 말한다. 다리 돈지니 검대기 아니지. 남녀 지지 나오시죠.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. I would like to request all of you to start today's discussion by practicing the Aryatara meditation. And we're going to do the same thing like we did it before, meaning that we're going to recite in the Aryatara mantra, and then we meditate on that mantra. Again, our motivation is that we're going to we keep the sufferings that the sentient beings in general, and particularly the people who are suffered due to this pandemic in this very moment all over the world, and keep them and wish in prayer, and they can free from the sufferings rapidly. And we're going to say a prayer to the Aryatara and meditate on her noble, vivid image of a noble present, and then we dedicate the merit to the benefits of all such beings, particularly those who are suffered due to the pandemic.
Om Dare Dare Soha 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 Om Dare Dare Soha.
So from today, we're going to learning a new subject. The new subject is that is something that's completely opposite from what we have been discussing in the past couple months. That is, we have been focused on the defects, all the mistaken behaviors and its a result because of the self-centeredness or the misperception of self of a person or self-centered self-cherishment. So we finished with that. Now, from today, we're going to switch to the opposite kind of direction in terms of understanding what is the benefits of others' cherishment, or the love and kindness, compassion for the all other sentient beings. Okay, so we're going to read the chapter, your translation, and page 52. So we're going to read it from 52. Here says, what is to be put into practice through contemplating the advantage of concern for others. Meditate on the great kindness of all beings.
시아바점지 때 용고만 아주 통마면 번내랑 신전도 배 꼼꼼 침부 요르대자 레라오 저트고 말 따텔라네 꼼다로 쪼네 젠치원즈나 파윤데 요아데 요이 김슨 대당 지위군이 파 장네 쇼나 아니 아주 샘더름 르비르비 샘거 차텔라 기르와 당지는 기르비 샘지 기르와 당네 아니 지 젠치원즈 비쇼라 로 꼼꼼 소나 아니 야르게 손에 랑신전라 예무도 영저 삼부터는 때라 파 랑신전 그 뭐 총리 총로고 때라 곰세고래 좀 곰지나 인중이 조조진의 삼지간 단기메트리스 말했어 샘나가 샘지가 지지라 삼로 땅에 삼로티 네트파 지지라 지지다 삼로 땅에 다데 네위 차들 삼로 땅 준비 강네 엔티 모 닐기도 파 쇼바체데 타통 그 차들 신나가 요때 좀더 대비 고니 총나 샘도 지식심 부터 보여르지 대자다 안에 대랑이 디가 곰ti 양토다 랑친증 다 젠지원즈비 파윤데 지금 모두 노디 시네들이 아주 못한 배잖아 만들고지.
So in general, as we always say, we are very clear about the reality or something that's absolutely common and for all of us. That is, we all naturally want to be happy, and we are naturally do not want to experience any pain or suffering. And so, as we have discussed about the pain and suffering is the result or is the result of the self-centeredness, self-love, and self-cherishment. To free from this suffering and the root cause of the suffering, the self-centeredness or self-cherishment, then we have to switch our basic attitude from being a self-centered needs now to become fully focused on the others' benefits or others, the love for others, the cherishment of others. This is switch or this transformation of the mental attitude, our basic sort of personality or behavior, our understanding about the meaning of our existence. Of course, when we say that now we need to switch from self-cherishment to others' cherishment, it is not an easy task at all. It's not a simple task. This is because from the beginningless time, we've been exposed to, we've been so sort of drawn or obsessed with the importance of self-cherishment. And our self-love from the beginningless time up until this point is been deeply sort of rooted. The habituation and that propensity sort of been developed or been built up upon and due to this self-judgment is so strong and so thick. So therefore, it's not easy to get it rid of overnight. So therefore, in order to really take advantages of concern for others or become the other cherished person or the love for others, we do have to study the reasons, okay? And we have to analyze this and examine and question to really find the reason and why it's great for us to switch to this switch to other cherishment from the self-cherishment, right? And see the reason we need to take this mind training, and through the training of our mind, and began to take this others' cherishment as something that is let it become our basic way of being and the basic attitude towards life and our sense of self. Right? So therefore, we do need to take this mind training, go through the process of this mind training. In other words, we need to meditate on this very topic and rapidly and forcefully. So when we say the meditation, in general, so you have to have this two aspects that need to be covered in the meditation. One aspect of meditation is that you have to stabilize your mind, meaning that your mind has to be in the greater state of stability, right? So the steadiness or the stability stabilization and the one aspect of your meditation that you have to be able to achieve. And once that achieved, then you can, in that very calm, tranquil, and neutralized and state of serenity or the state of and common abiding, then you can examine the actuality or the questioning the true status of any anything or any object. So this is a vipassana aspect of the meditation. In other words, this is the analytical aspect of meditation. So stability and analytical, those are the two forms of meditation. But we're going to combine them in the one eventually, and then focus on the subject matter. So meditation in general is not something that has to be really a sit or beautifully organize your body and sit sort of in a very a certain particular way. But meditation in general, or indeed, is something that first of all you have to have an object, right? The object of a mental contemplation. And once you have the mental contemplation, and then you have to place your full attention onto that object of a meditative object, and then try to stabilize and then your all attention, so full attention to that very object, and be attentive and without any distraction. Then you begin, once you reach that common abiding, the state of common abiding, then you begin to examining or investigating the nature of the subject matter. So we're going to talk about this, and we keep this two aspects of meditation in mind, and then we bring then our very object meditation, and such as the taking the advantages of concern for the others.
Dekil dokuyor, dengan dokumars, dekitela ne çık nekub ke deki çık, tartık ke deki yingur, nekub ke deki de azu sin de çık devatan, tartık ke deki de da tarvata da bir komba çıkıyor. Desa, de niçalo pe semcila matında yong tıkıyor mars. Anne sin de deki de azu da çıtan semki badan lidi wala subay yong, de azu sin de deki var. Anne sin de deki yong atela kargo orada çamur musik karson orada o sımıyor esi. Anne çıtan norlongçum Sanyanto, that Yedung of Paman Yedung, some chatting also, Cinder the Kion Saga. So race. In a day, they keep the cut shippy, they moved also garden the Choshi race. Choshi said that Sosorani or the Petsagadi did much in it. This means that the Yonsala Samotona or that Jepajuta Kane Yong, Samno Yokotona. Chomba in the Mamba in the Chumsuba in the Gay in the Choma Pajka Genis Jus Sosat, so Paul Gentini Sriungua. And it's Chanyantas there, the Sosorani page, Chanyat Chamushat, Sosorani shot, Genchik Secret, Genchik, Jadok Gani, and Sosola, Titung the Levin, Chanyat Chamus, the Janatinian. Then Yen said on the Gen Matoroni. Then Hala Yen the Chokiomar. There's a Yen said the Genting would do some chat. There's Sosul and Zomberciala, Soso Choshigore. Choshiona, Choshi Tempership, Choshila, Mozart Telgo, the Yamte, Mozart telling you the Choshim Bisao, Toro Chakor, Mozart said, the Rangim Sijin, or the regional need the regional Rungumari, Yago Marangala, Mizu Katangre, then some Mala. Susormanila, some Lutong, Zemsum Jedre, the Chin Yang Marta, the China is some good, the China Hambachin, Jando, Miller, Tonton Jando, the Miller Chingambashan, but the Homar, Sosormanila Ching, Yantala, the some Tony, Zematella, what's has. Tell you about it, Jenjum Sijin, or the Shin Yang Marta, Jen Maron, Gent Jim Sijin, Penatopodas in a Sosotopo, no Summer. 소소 셈는 더바로스 마크나 텔라테 조금 치트와 텔라테니 틴다 들어 전좀 서지네 랑즈나 뭐자시와도 텔요바 뉴요나 아니 촉시세야 돼 어다 랑당 젠이게 넘네 어다 엄마들다 지바레 베나 지금 곱샤 염조나라 소소다 지바 직장 지교마도 아 당부 고 용용스 때 매워지 뭐 초심에 전에 당부 아 강토도 지금 마도 코스기 뭐 대사 때에 삼동하나 초시 때마다 아니 내기 그 뭐뜻 치그래 지금 송요 대사도 초시세 초시 때 땅때 아니 당부 뭐자시와 최요바니 지네 때마나 어때 용거 때지라데 아니 잘라 삼도 통용나다 치드게 되길 때 간이 용거도 삼도 떠나다 때 순도 숨도 통한 거 때라 때네 또 사마랑 같은 용어들이 요말 랑치고이나 가게 요말 천년도다 요말도 놀롱저 요말 얘들 용말 아니 지가 요말 소 랑치고이나 미코르치크 선나 삼마 말하다 무요 때다 가지는 그리 앞에 지고 서치가 뜸먹고 삼도 노트 첨볼 서치가 맞는 요말 차도 아로 동 많이 기회종때 아니 담앞에 리드 지기디 파트 셈틀라테니 로고 셈틀라텐 고고서 셈틀라테니 소소 도비 대와탄 셈틀라테니 용고서 어다 셈틀탐진도 같은 첨보인 니 데키 용사가 제인 삼드카티나 때 보면 소 타랑 거 지금 말씀 당보 곰잘 소소랑이라 닝콜라 옆에 소소랑 그 지금 다 자창이나 파마를 주 참아를 파 뭐더니 파자키게 되니 지금 다블롱 되니 벤도르 펀질 네 지금 토바이나 셈라 지지 당할라 첨보 용그레스 상부도스
So again, we have to basically to work on the things which seems clear to us, but yet spiritually speaking, still lack of probably in the deep understanding. In other words, it's not has been reflected so deep or deep enough. What I'm trying to say is that we all know we want to be happy, and we do not want to be suffered or experience any misery. So, what is happiness, right? And happiness, obviously, from Buddhist point of view, and it's there's two kinds of happiness. One is temporary happiness of the temporary happiness and ultimate happiness. So the temporary happiness is primarily the happiness concerned in this life alone. So the ultimate happiness is the happiness that you are able to free from the cyclic existence and obtain the omniscienthood and become omniscient, or fully enlightened one. So that's the ultimate happiness. This present happiness or the temporary happiness for merely focus on this life, as far as this is concerned, and we again have to reflect this very basic sort of happiness very deeply and understand it fully. Because it is, again, it's not something that's very kind of intuitive and simple enough. Like His Holiness Dalai Lama, he explains that those of us who focus on the happiness in this life alone, but we have to know that there are three happiness, and that primarily we are looking for, or in other words, the causes of happiness. The happiness of this lifetime has come from three different sources. right? So what His Holiness Dalai Lama is saying that first of all, the happiness of this lifetime is depend upon our material well-being. In other words, is a kind of related with wealth, right? Our economies, the status of our economy, or our income. So is about basically is the material and wealth. So that's the sources of our temporary happiness. First one, and second one is our friendship or the harmonious relationship between us and everyone else is involved with our life, or somewhere and in some extent, either directly or indirectly related to us. Okay? So from this relationship, a human relationship, we can appreciate life. We can experience the happiness. That's the second. The harmonious relationship is the second source of the happiness, the temporary happiness. And then the third one, which also can secure or cause and bring the happiness to us, that is the reputation or good reputation, good name. Okay? The good name, the reputation, is something that again would let us be, give us a good sense of being, a meaning, and some kind of a sense of a value, a recognition, right, and appreciation. So in turn, we will appreciate this life. We feel the life is great. So the wealth and the harmonious relationship with others, other person, and the good name or the reputation. All these three are directly and give us what we really want for in this life, right? The temporary happiness. And but the point here is that it's not just this much simple. The point is we have to see that is really the case. We must understand through this reality. By understanding this in deeply or completely, then we see, oh, our happiness is independent upon others, is related to others, is actually the result of something that's from others. For example, like and the wealth, and so it doesn't matter how much you gain or you're possessing, you obtained, you own it, right? It's directly, indirectly, it's about others. Somewhere, somehow is related to others. Okay? So without others, then that wealth you own or you're going to achieve or obtain is impossible, right? And secondly, the relationship, the harmonious relationship, the sense of belonging, sense of being loved, the sense of being protected, right? Sense of recognition or appreciation. All this has to be and come from someone, and so who is some person, other person. So it's not you alone, right? And have that sense of recognition, but because of others. And so the proper relationship, the harmonious relationship, is really is about others. Or you feel anything that's good come from others directly or indirectly, and so the importance is not about how you feel or how much you appreciate life, but the cause or the sources of that appreciation, the sense of appreciation or well-being, and being well sort of loved and cared is again due to others. Right? So in other words, without others, you will not have that sense of happiness or the sense of goodness about life. And then the reputation. The reputation doesn't matter, who you are, what you are doing, right? And so it has to be come from other person and given by others, established by others, and depend upon others. Right? Without others, then there's no way you can establish some kind of identity or the good reputation and or good name, right? It doesn't matter. So you are a doctor and you are a lawyer and you are a college teacher or you are a trader and a business person, whoever you are, right? As far as you are, how much you've been sort of materialistically being very successful, right? Wealthy, right? Or job-wise, professionally wise, you are so successful, very much sort of highly achieved, right? Or and how popular you are. So the bottom line is all your wealth, your accomplishment, your reputation, and your recognition, anything you achieved or you received, you appreciate it, is again because of others. So therefore, this once we see this very clearly, the relationship between our temporary happiness and others, we know that everything we have is dependent upon or independent upon others. Well, so another side of this conversation is that so we want to be happy and the temporary happiness, but we have to know the real temporary happiness again is something has to be yes, it's related to others. It comes from others, but the way to maintain or to sustain it, right? It's needed to be based on the understanding and the practice of what we call as a contentment. Okay, contentment or content. So you have to know how to be content, contentment. The contentment is really the source of to maintain your whatever you have done, like materialistically, right? You are now you own some kind of reasonable amount of wealth, right? You're good. So then you have to apply the way to secure and to really appreciate it and your the material well-being. You have to apply the sense of the understanding of contentment. Know how to be content with what you have achieved or you own it, right? And secondly, the relationship, right? So you've been recognized, appreciated, right, and well received and well beloved, and by others, right? Again, this is the way to sustain. You have to know how to apply this basic attitude or the practice this important attitude that is content. To know content, how to be content, and knowing the contentment. In the reputation as well, so you achieved, you've been well sort of recognized, popular, but again, the way to sustain, to maintain that happiness or the good, the result of a good name, you have to know how to be content and know the contentment. So one step back, right? Then how you really always can secure or be able to stay in that very important sort of live with that very important attitude or understanding of contentment, right? know how to be content. How you do it, right? There's two practice or two things which can secure you to be able to stay or remain successfully maintain that state of contentment. That is, first is the shame, okay? The shame, and first is the embarrassment. Sorry, embarrassment. So embarrassment. You have to have a strong sense of embarrassment. Embarrassment is that is sort of you turning your attention towards yourself. It's something that you need to focus on your own self. That is that when you're doing something or saying something, think about others, and you have to say, "Oh, that's not right. I'm not going to do that, because if I do that, then I will be hurt, okay, and my reputation will be damaged. Right, my relationship will hurt, and I will suffer myself. So I do not want that happen to me. So have that strong sense of embarrassment. You don't want to embarrass and due to your own misbehavior or misconduct. So that's the embarrassment. And then at the same time, you also need to practice what we call the shame. Knowing the shame. Knowing the shame is that you are focused on the others. So others here is that your friends, your families, and your boss or your coworker, whoever, right? Anybody. When you do something, so you say, "Oh, I'm not going to do that because that's going to hurt others," and that's not right. That's not fair. That's not reasonable, and that's not just. That it is not justifiable. So that person doesn't shouldn't have it, and this or shouldn't happen to him or her. So you know that if you done that, it's really a shameful thing, right? It's not right. So yes, care about the embarrassment, not being embarrassed, right? And not have the being shameful. So there's two attitude or two practice. If we implement it, right, taking care and practice all the time, then we can easily secure the contentment, right? And so that's what that's what the important is about it. So in this lifetime, and we think that generally, without a really analysis and study and reflecting deeply the way and understand our life and like we're doing now, the practice and
it's 11 o'clock.
Study or exam, and then we would have this tendency, and our sort of a basic attitude is that oh, I can do everything, and I did it, or I'm wealth, and I have lots of money. I don't need to depend on others. It seems that everything is depend on you, and your wealth, and you are wealthy, and you are someone as the socially sort of be recognized and or have a possession and appreciate or enjoy some kind of possessions and status. You tend to think that that's you and you did it, and in fact it is not, right? And it is started actually from, it depend upon heavily and merely because of others and heavily depend upon others. So this analysis, and which is basically, it's not really analysis, it's the reality itself. We must understand this is the case, it is the truth, right? And then we need to practice this, and starting from ourselves. Let's say start from home, right? And be with your family member, between your family members, right? And then you can bring this to the all the way to your neighbors, and then your community, right? And then you can spread this attitude throughout the world. So that's this is the way, and so this is the practice, and so this can, then we can get our ultimate goal, that is be able to transform our basic attitude from self-cherishment to the others' cherishment.
예측 받지 전 저런데 로트 상무통네 전 같은 친구 이거 간다 지레 다 전나 어때 나라 데키고 나 데키 용사도 강내 용화래 근데 전에 다때라 뭐 파티 잔라 뭐니 디 땅도네 셔럽지 잡아졌네 인치면 곰 조금도 제곰이기 제곰지나 니와 채통 그래서 근데 삼당하나 때랑 곰이 좀더 전치워서 비고니 나 데키도 그래 전 देखी तकनी वाले जन नहीं होते जन चाचे बोल देखी वहाँ तक समोट चे बातें तकनी ते चर्चिन तो समझ नहीं होगा हमारे जन काटे चे बोल बागुल ता जन काटे चे बोल इम्बाला तेला तेने ता रंग चेवन जब गांगा से ते छोशिया दो बातें से का चंजन जादर तो चंजन जावाला ताकि यानी वो चल चेवन चीने तेन चीने ता ते वहाँ मुझे गोमतंग रबारू तेरे जिगरे से रंग ते क्यों जो मतने ता तेरंग व्यक्ति मतने जन चेवन जब इसी ता मन ते होंगे जनचिन गोंबी लोग 총종적인 오토로 지기요세.
Oh yeah. So I have been talking quite a bit, and but essentially the point I was trying to make is based on the first line and the first words. I just introduced you at the beginning, is that is the meditate on the great kindness of all beings. Okay, meditate on the great kindness of all beings. So what I'm trying to tell you is that how to practice this very the advice or the teaching. And in the meditation, in our spiritual practice meditation, because here it clearly tells to give us the necessary the material we need for our practice. First of all, meditation. Right? Meditation is our the technique we're going to adopting, and then so the object of our meditation, our practice, that is all beings, all sentient beings, right? Then the goal, right? The goal or the spiritual quality we're going to achieve, that is great kindness. So right here in this very one line, a sentence, the author introduced us what do we need to do. So meditation, yes, that's technique, and sentient being is the object of our meditative concentration, and so meditate on the kindness, right? Deepening our understanding and transform our basic attitude from sort of the other self-cherishment into that's a complete turning around, become others' cherishment. That is the process of our practice. That is the core of the meditation. The meditation just technique, but here the contents or the core of our meditation is the kindness of reflecting, thinking of, and recall the kindness of all sentient beings. So that's the meditation. So you have an object of meditative concentration, that's all sentient being. Bring all sentient being into your mind, right? And then stabilize that very object of meditation, or meditative concentration. So sentient being, right? Imagine, think of, reflect upon, right? And have that strong sense, or vivid sense of all sentient being in your mind, and then stabilize that very object of your meditation, right? And let that object of your meditation stay, right? What do we call this? And yeah, steadiness. Make it this stabilize, and then appear in your mind clearly and vividly. Then once this is achieved, then you need to bring the vipassana, or the analysis, the critical analysis, integrate it into your state of that very state of meditation, which is essentially at this point is common abiding. So you see the sentient being, right, which is object of your meditative concentration, and right, and so you see it, and you feel it, but now you begin to fashioning and investigating the relationship between you and all sentient beings, and which appear on the meditative as the object of your meditative concentration. So who are they? How they relate to you? How important are they? And so then you know from the very small matter, right, as a necessity, and basic supplies of your life, right, and to the large scale, like your wealth, the amount of wealth you develop, you build up, and the harmonious, the happy relationship you've been developed, and the good reputation you've been achieved, and all these are, so whatever you have, you enjoy, and so if you examine it, reflecting upon, right, and well, from where, how this be happened, how you are able to achieve it, and analytically, and through your critical analysis and examination, you will find, so whatever I have done, right, achieved on it, it's indeed, it's because of all sentient beings. It's directly, indirectly related to others, and because of others. So then you can easily or naturally generate the sense of kindness, right? The sense of the kindness of all others, right? So this is the essence of the vipassana, or the analytical meditation. So like we talked about, first of all, thinking that anything you achieved, right, as far as the pleasure or happiness that you experiencing, you have experienced, and you are anything that's you feel so great about it, like His Holiness Dalai Lama said, those three things, right? And start with your wealth, right? Think about the sources, and how it has been comes, and then think about this the sense of friendship, or sense of recognition, right? And that's related from family to others, and then your reputation, from where you become someone, right, and socially being sort of welcomed and well received. So those three sources, yes, and of your happiness is again because of others, and the kindness of others. So now you have it, this say, that's life is great, right? I do have it, no matter the size of it, right? And the qualities of it, But anything you feel so great and appreciated is because of one way or another related to those three sources, right? Wealth, good relationship, and the reputation. So all of them are again because of other. So now, and even in the smallest scale, you own it, right? You achieve it. So you need to secure, you need to sustain, maintain them. The way to maintain them is like we talked about. You have to know in the Shem, all right, and also you have to practice the take the embarrassment and very much sort of beware of the make sure you're not embarrassing, right? And I mean apply the embarrassment to secure secure or maintain the contentment, right? The sense of achievement, the sense of goodness, the sense of appreciation. So which basically is contentment. But this contentment has to be secured and has to be protected by the practice, by practicing the embarrassment and knowing the shame. Right? So this is although I taught a lot and the meditation which I have discussed and I'll share with you today, it seems small, but indeed it's very profound and very complex.
so semla teni chongare ledik thamje semla teni chongare sem jurso sem tele khapre chini seba dgcha yama dongyong chini sem khapre chini semba dgcha tela ne marikpa mshiwi rang do chotang shedong ni yene ane tege dne zogre ane semba zangbo rang ne ti gesum kene ne shamnyang ji shang semla soba gombaina tikyola deche chagre 어떻게 시고 또 용서 때 당고 삼보 끊는 때 키우나 때라때 리는 그 조라데 시랑 제라테 때라테니 아니 데우 통유데 렌디가 남도 때라테 삼도 따때 남바선 유 따티 그러서 삼당네 공부나 때다 자금지기나 어떤지 지레 말해서 삼도나 어떠냐 등을 용사가 따다가 마릭병 마릭왕금 당봉아 세데 간다진 저거 나세데 베지 딱 왔다 봐 정대 탁던도 바테디 지금 zam지네 o tela tene yitong yichi thongna te ngala gogundu jene ne doschieng ta yitong yitong wa de yitong wa de yitong ina de ko thwa ta de ko ta te nga thwa ta ma chwa di zoba ma tsum ba jene te long zoba de ma te ngala gogundu nga wang ji chi yin se te yong zhen do char wa o te cha do cha ti yong ani ta to thop ta ma tu ba mo bo chin ni ling sing ka le jere te nga chi yong go takate matwa tela gachingala suba tele chingdo ngala ti tope doba tela gaching de warchi je jine tene se makyo yonga ne shedang kyong shedang de ling yesum wang jeno so mit nyu ba da chane ne chin de shime ya ani nyora ma zo pe langyo ta te na o te yongsa te rang chin jala tene yonggo cha o te samlo chi tang ani jan chiwur zbe bu ni karang uza jan cheberde shamtang hyangji la sopo yongor shamtang hyangji la sopo kina shamtang hyangji kena tela tene deki yongre sibor shamtang hyangji se shambazna ne jan dewatang dana sambi kalong chire hyangji se na jan dinga dang dana sambi samlo chire tengi la hyangji yang gomba na tela tene ne rang le jan tangbo samji da dongyong gom rang dewa do ba jan dewa do ba nga dinga do ba mo do jan dinga nga tsang chikpare samlo tangne chikpare samlo na ngai dewa do pa dang ko simchi tham che dewa dang na samlo nga ti tang na ba yor nga su rang yila otta simchi tham la shamat ki yong tene se 심지 탐지 능을이랑 능을 있잖아 삼로 당시 심지 탐지 능을 있잖아 삼비 삼로 때 기억나 때 양지 때 샴양지 요때 정나 레베레베 학비 삼바드네 상가 때 영검검다 랑도 제니가 젠페 학버스테고니 아니 랑야르도 젠티오르도 로직 용거들라 학비 삼바 학심도 용들라 때네 아니 정치 샘 기고를 그 학비 삼바 기용도 어때 베데 젠 판도치고 저와도 베 хчэм부 용으로 젠동 판도치와 저와도 хчэм부 용으로 젠 판도치 니와도 소소를 남기면서 아니 어떤 뒤쳤던 공부 좀 상이가 탐치부 공부도 있는 탐치부 공부도가 저도 도시 특근들 뒤서는 엔탐치부 공부도 되는 거 배나 미지고 그런 거 샘나 앞에 밀라로 빠지고 노빠시고 요아치 그런라 아니지 다 시시 연등이 찬이 나를 기파주고 신도 강근 니와 매나 어떤 그런 빠지도 그런 치우주 연나라 때 코티 니와 등면 그런 하고 다뒤 게도 싸가 참시던 거라 연den장 저는 그 연den장지네 정말 연den지 파독지기 선바다 아니 지금 반절 통화를 진짜 조준 그 반절이 고립진 디젤라 판도지기서 상로티기 하나 디기용 저 당보네 남반이 든지네 당보 페이지라 먹바전지라 때니 잔디 능을 세위치때 딱 네들이 지기인 생각들 니와도 보고 니와도 마토가던가 젠들라 니와 강가도 세위 니와만도 때치든가 젠기 강가도 세위치든가 니와능이 죽긴 삼비 삼로 때네스가 상치 셈소라 제가 상이 공부도 상이 기부를 체크가 난 체크를 되는 이런 라좀으로 차서甚至 탐좀 삼로 때는 좀 맞다나 상치 셈착해요 진짜 딱 받쳐 모셔야 돼 어다 르베르베 다 상년나 임마tin 많이 그랬다 때랑 놀디지 못을 듣지고
Yeah. So what we have discussed so far, and we haven't really talked about from a religious perspective and on as some kind of religious practice, and we are actually feel or studied our basic needs and then so how that very basic needs is being can be achieved, right? And then how to maintain it, right? And then the relationship between whatever we have and with others, right? So we didn't really look at this from a religious perspective, right? But we look at this reality as something that's obvious, right? As something that doesn't need to really understand through a very complicated sort of philosophical and discussion, but rather it's from our day-to-day experience, our everyday life, just like that. So our wealth is being from we obtain is come from others, right? Our relationship and harmonious relationship is again because of others, a sense of being loved and is from others and because of others, and so whatever we sort of status and names, possessions we own it again is because of others. That's the reality. That's the very obvious, and so it's not a religious discussion at all, but rather is this world reality, matter of fact. Now we need to bring this right to the discussions of Buddhism as spiritual practice. So Buddhism explained this relationship much more further, right? Much more deep, and then this world, this life alone, or from the world perspective, right? Buddhism explained as our wealth, right? Our harmonious relationship and our good reputation, and so from the karma point of view, In other words, so Buddhist teaching try to explain to us, right, the relationship between what you have it, right, or on it, and you achieve it, right, you enjoy it. It's because of the law of cause effect. And so this law of cause effect is much more go beyond the limited analysis that we have done, the limited examinations we have made, but rather it's go much more further and go back or broader. This is because in Buddhism it is essentially it teaches that our happiness, our well-being is primarily related to the mind, okay? Or it's because of the mental attitude. So the happiness, the source of the happiness is come from your mind, and again, the cause of the suffering also is come from the mind. It's internal. Something is internal. Its causes are internal, not the external. So our analysis before the external is the wealth and reputations and good relationship is the external, and which is obvious, right? But if you brought this into Buddhist conversation and look at it from the karma point of view, the cause effect, the law of causality's point of view, you will see that and it is basically is related to and depend upon and is about your how mentally and you doing. So if you mentally and doing the things or the basic sense of your mentality or outlook is virtuous, right? Here, virtuous means that loving, kindness, compassion, right? Your mind is itself is right. It's the basic attitude of mind is like love. Love is compassion, kindness. And then that mind is virtuous. Because of that, this virtuous mind, and we're inviting, right, and bring in, or naturally will help you to develop those external great sources of happiness, right? Good reputation and harmonious relationship and the wealth, material wealth. So vice versa, if you have your mind, the basic attitude is selfish, right, and self-centered, very mean, and very destructive and negative, and then they will reflect upon, or through your verbal expression, will be reflected, expressed through your verbal expression, and your bodily behavior, and the set of your mental experience. So we look at this from a karma or the cause-effect point of view. Then we know that we have to do something that's internally, right? And the changes has to be taken internally, taken from your mind. So the way to transform your mind, taking your mind and correct your mind is it has to be dependent upon the meditation. So meditation is so has to be started with stabilize your mind. That's a calm abiding, right? And once your mind is totally sort of you're calm and focused and fully alert, very attentive, right? And neutralized, and then you can carefully examine the nature of the the relationship, the nature of the causes of the whatever you have, you own it, you're experiencing. So then the change will deeply taking place. You can transform and yourself and your basic mental attitude. If we do not do this right and practice this way, right, and in other words, look at the whatever we have and we own it, right? We've achieved from a karma point of view, right? Then, first of all, it will be no way to make that revolutionary sort of absolute transformation when your basic mental attitude will not really be able to fundamentally be changed. This is because if we stay at the surface level and stay with what we have done, with from a worldly standard, right? Right, and common sort of a culturally oriented criteria or understanding about the importance of others, right? And then you will not really make the thought or the thorough or the profound the change of your attitude from the self-cherishment into other cherishment. You cannot do it because, as we talked about from beginners, we have been exposed, we experienced, right? And we have the way we sort of survived and we deal with ourselves and with others always through the based upon our basic attitude, that is self-cherishment, self-love, and self-importance, right? And on top of that, we have this very deep mistaken philosophical view or basic understanding about ourselves. Our basic understanding of self or the concepts of self is mistaken. That is because when we think about ourselves, we think we are sort of marked by our the four qualities. So the qualities: I myself is independent, and myself is a permanent entity, and myself essentially is a pleasurable entity, and then it's I myself is a clean versus a dirty. Right? So because of this four mistaken perception or the mistaken understanding views of ourselves, and we just very difficult for us to not indulge into the attachment or things which looks like or appear to us is pleasant, right? Our sense under such an influence of this perception of self or the misunderstanding about our own status, and there will never anything appear to us as it looks beautiful and attractive. We will naturally want to have it, and they want to keep it, and they want to keep it forever, right? And we will have no chance to really feel content, and like we talked about, to have the sense of or really understand of contentment, and then understand the importance of the embarrassment and the shame. So it's hard for us to really stopping or withdrawn ourselves from this attachment. We will just naturally indulgent and naturally sort of sunken into that mode of a sensational, a pleasurable experience. okay, we probably say, okay, but what's wrong with the enjoyment, right? Enjoying the life or be happy with it, what we have feels very attractive, very beautiful. And the problem is, if you do not understand the relationship between your sense of pleasure and happiness through the karma point of view, that is, so you will continue to attach to it, but the problem, but the reality is, while you're on the course of this pleasurable, enjoyable moment or the state, so there are bad things happen, right? Because things are conditioned, right? And it depends on something else. The enjoyment or the pleasure you appreciate is depend upon something else, and is a condition. So therefore, and when you are trying to stay in that pleasurable, enjoyable moment, and you want to keep it forever, or as it is, then that obstacle, anything that you try to interfere in, right, and try to cut off you from that continuity of the enjoyment, you will, right, naturally from the attachment, you will experience a strong frustration. You will be disappointed, and then you will become very angry, and you will experience the pain. Sorry, yeah, from the frustration, disappointment, right, and you will experience pain, and because of pain, you will become very mad, angry, right, and this angry or the hatred will make you mad, right, and then you become a madness. You will experience some kind of madness. In that, out of that madness, you would do anything that's completely right, not intelligent, right, and so you will do the things very destructive, very very harmful. So if you see this, then you know that just rely on or stay on the surface level and by understanding yourself or others important, right? Not looking at this from a karma and from Buddhist the philosophical point of view, and even though and even you know that other people are important and you appreciate and you're very appreciative, and you know how nice, good to be kind to others. But again, you will not be able to generate the genuine, real, loving kindness, compassion to others. So because your essential understanding of yourself is wrong, and your basic attitude is still pretty much is polluted with the self-attachment. So therefore, it is important and for us to look at the whatever we have, right, the good relationship and the reputation from a karma point of view. Then you can find that you really have a good reason to be very kind and compassionate to others. So then what is the compassion and what is the kindness? The kindness is, so it's the attitude based upon, again, deep understanding of the actuality. And you will always tend to have this basic attitude and so prepare yourself ready, make yourself ready that you want to bring happiness to others. Okay? You aimed, intended, think of, wanted others happy. That very natural, basic attitude is the kindness. The compassion, on the other hand, is that you would see that others are suffering, right? And then their lack of, or they are in the they are in a kind of moment or the states a condition where they really suffered a lot. So you develop the sense and you have the strong tendency and the basic attitude, and you're ready and you want to address and to free that very person from the suffering and cut off the person or the people from the causes of suffering. That very basic attitude to cut off or eliminate free the people from the causes of the suffering, and then the suffering they're experiencing, that is the compassion. Well, so then how to develop this kindness, compassion, right? The based upon your understanding of the karma. The way to start this is first of all, you need to neutralize your mind. Bring yourself in the state of attachment free and aversion free. You really feel that your mind is absolutely in the state of unbiased, free from any kind of assessment, and but rather it's you really neutralize yourself. After you achieve this state of equanimity, that's technically called equanimity, state of equanimity, being equalized yourself, and then you began to look others, and then you can see that if I abandon others' interests for the sake of my self interest, then in fact I'm not doing something and good for myself. I'm not doing favor for myself at all. But rather you say that sooner or later I am actually doing something that's very damaging, very bad for myself. Right? So therefore, and you would naturally have the reason to stop yourself doing, restrain yourself from harmful action, intention. And at the same time, you will find a reason, and it become very natural. You want to be others happy, and you want to bring the joy and happiness to others. And you also intend to free others from the causes of suffering. And so while you are and try to bring the happiness to others, and particularly when you try to eliminate the cause of suffering for others, try to free others from the suffering, and then you will you will run into a situation where you see the limitation of yourself, or how limited you are in terms of power and ability and knowledge, right, influence, and everything. So you just find that you as individuals are really very limited, right? Your resources and ability, everything is very much sort of inefficient. So at that point, because of your practice of this others cherishment, right? And your deep understanding about the importance of others, and your deep conviction of your happiness and your well-being is related to others, right, from a karma point of view, and is not just superficially at a social sort of economical level, but rather is very deeply from the karma's point of view. Then you will generate what we call is the mind of enlightenment, or the mind of awakening, or the pure intention. The pure intention is that upon to realize that, how limited you are, the knowledge, resource, the influence, everything. So then you turn to see, how can I make it happen, really achieve my own goal, and that meaning the return the kindness of others, meaning bring the joy to others, and also free others from sufferings and causes of sufferings. You will see that only Buddha, the fully enlightened one, who is able to, who is in the position where he or she can do it. Right? So at that point, you will generate genuine intention or mind, which has a sort of two featured by the two qualities. Okay, one quality is the aimed the sentient being, right? And then there's and their status or their suffering, and then another is aimed to attain Buddhahood. So you look at the sentient being, and you understand their condition, then you aim to achieve Buddhahood. So you will have such a pure intention or the awakening mind. So the mind is that always looking look at the sentient being suffering, and then try to attain the Buddhahood for the benefits of all sentient beings. So you will have this attitude, and this attitude is technically called bodhicitta, or the awakening mind. So, and then yes, so then you can do the clear example is like this. The way to develop the bodhicitta is, for example, you see and a lot of people, your friends or your associates and or family members or whoever, you see they are materialistically, right? They're just poor. Their life is so poor. They have a very little to eat, and right, and their living conditions are just very sort of they're under the let's say the private line, okay, and so you are someone who is want to free them, make those people have enough to eat, right, and the good conditions and to live. Then you will go pursuing some kind of business, right, the highest status or the degree in from the business school. You will make yourself very wealthy and very rich, right? Then you can bring a share and give your wealth and to those in need, right? And another example is that you find that people are not really well educated, meaning they don't know how to reading, writing, and so they basically just to know anything about the intellectually that not have been trained. So you are the one who see, oh, that's how poor, that's no good, and you want to do something about it. You want them to be very well trained, intellectually very highly accomplished, established. So then, upon see, and then the other people and how less informed they are, or not informed at all, and you find yourself at that point is not someone who can free those people from the sufferings of not being intellectually trained. So what you do is you determined, right? You want to be the scholar yourself. You want to become a greater teacher or a greater knowledgeable person yourself. And then you can bring the knowledge and whatever you have accomplished, and you go back to share them. So same process and same attitude. That's how we train ourselves, right? In the bodhicitta. So we have to have this intention to free bring the happiness to others, right? And then free others from the causes of suffering. But we know that we are the limitations ourselves, and so then we decided to and aim the Buddha, become a Buddha ourselves, and then free others. So then we began engaging in all the practices of Buddha Dharma, and we not aimed at just free ourselves from the sufferings and attain some kind of liberation and become arhat, meaning that self-liberated. You just liberate yourself, and then that's all. We're not going to do that, but rather we're going to take the Mahayana path, and to be a bodhisattva, and to do whatever we can and to free all sentient beings from sufferings.
Yeah. Also,
yeah, that's all for today, and thank you very much for your attention.
yawa de do tham je rab de ngo de se sha be yawa tham je ji ho kong la so de ngo ho de do je gi wi sa wan de ken jiao zong rab de ngo je pan de zhong de dang ba de shang ji dan de jiao tham je keng keng zong li chen keng na de ji ye dang ba de ji je ji ce re ken de yawa zong ga wi tham zhong xin yin ge sen de be de ya wi ho be lang zong这些咱们都是嘛，就是这个，我们老辈教育当包了，这是当这个没说，上就俺边就把嘛的话出生，等别这里也就是这个，这么的老成的，你们跟我的老说你知道的，你这些小事情，哪怕今年把你的能力，他就是对那么的话，到底是嘛？